Stephanie Anderson.
Kathy Christian.
Bridget Boland.
My name is Tanya Labe.
And you, sir?
Michael Labe.
Said Spawn is Al Simmons. And I went, oh, wonderful.
I am Mancha. I became Mancha from many centuries ago.
Yeah.
And how'd you get this job?
They actually went through a modeling agency in LA, and they chose me from a selection of girls.
We just fell into it, basically, really.
And how I got into it, actually, Todd was my college roommate.
They searched high and low, and they found me in Los Angeles.
I was kind of the only one who would fit the costume.
I didn't get this job. I am Mancha.
Have you ever actually met Adam West?
Yes, I have. Quite a few times, in fact. He does know me by name.
The costume is simply great. Who made this?
A lady named Kyra from my hometown, which is in Richland, Washington.
I have contacts in the movie industry.
Do you guys collect comic books?
No, actually, I didn't even realize it.
Nope.
No. Yes, we do.
Is Wildcat your favorite comic of all time?
It's one of the favorite comics, yes.
Do you actually read Vampirella comics?
No.
You have no idea what your character is. You don't know if you shoot rays out of your eyes or what, right?
Actually, I've come to know her.
No, I'm not a big comic fan, but... Censorship, an important issue even in the comic book industry. Tony talked about the issue with some of the more prominent and radical members of the industry, and here's what they had to say.
With Canadian customs, I can't send anything across the border with Boneyard Press on it at all.
When we first started out, the Guns N' Roses people threatened us with a lawsuit, which never developed. Then later down the line, New Kids on the Block decided to get out a temporary restraining order against us, and we went to court.
Canada? They wouldn't ship it in. We had several distributors right by the border, outlets in Oregon with, Washington State, and they couldn't move the book into Canada because of the content of the first issue.
Has any of Extreme's projects or books ever had any complaints about getting away with something that violates the authority code? Or
Not that I know of. We don't actually go through the Comics Code Authority, but I can't think of anything we've ever had a problem with. In fact, we've just recently released a book called Prophet, and we've received so many letters from mothers and fathers in the mail saying, wow, this is the kind of comic I want my kid to read.
We strive to make comics that are not for G audiences, but for PG-13. We want audiences that, comics that challenge, that expand. We're not looking to do, soft and furry comics, but we do comics that are not X-rated or hard R-rated comics because we want as many people to read them as possible.
It's not that we shy away from sex or violence. We just present it in a way that I guess the emphasis is on good taste. And we do remember hearing at some point that Elfquest was on one of the Christian broadcasting channels as one of the bad things that your children shouldn't read. But we were very proud of that.
We've always pretty consciously maintained a PG attitude. We understand that, parents will occasionally look at their kids' books.
Against censorship, or for freedom of speech. I understand retailers' concerns, and we do get letters and calls from parents. We've been taking some steps on a number of our titles, for instance, all the superhero titles and the Aliens and Predator books.
I sent this Rush Limbaugh script, written words, pictures from Newsweek, total satire, total comedy, and they wouldn't let it through. I have no idea why not, so I sent it under a fake name, and it got through no problem.
But little comic book stores, little guys who take in $100,000 gross every year and maybe come home with $15,000, $20,000 income in their pocket, and here this multimillionaire is causing their insurance company to settle with him for $1,000.
The Comic Book Legal Defense Fund is a nonprofit organization, and we support the First Amendment rights of the comic book industry, either through retailers, publishers, artists, whoever happens to be being prosecuted for offensive or anything having to do with First Amendment issues.
Well, welcome back to the Comic Show book. Comic Book Show.
Now it's time for Celebrity Corner. We're here with Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn, what kind of comics did you used to buy when you were a kid, and what kind of comics do you collect?
Well, actually, I didn't.
Who would be, like, your favorite superhero?
Oh, Fantastic Man I like. Funtastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the Maniac. And Dark Shadows and... Oh, I don't know.
And who are they published by?
I don't know anything about comics. I only know everything about me.
Ah.
Of course, you know, I have a new card coming out.
And who's putting out the new card?
Sports Times.
Ah, you knew that.
Yeah, which is the parent company to Revolutionary Comics, who you might have heard about.
And that's it this week for the Comic Book Show. Tune in next week. We're going to have